You want some of that? Keep it up. See that motherfucker? See that? See that? Keep it up. Keep it up. You see what's gonna happen? Right? Take heed. There's better places than a grocery store. There's better places than a grocery store. We went and had shrimp and Red Lobster. Yum, yum. Keep it up. See what happens. Right? Remember this. Keep it up. Take heed. That one's going too. Right? It's one of them. It's going to go too. And listen, I was right down the block, baby. Right down the block. Any day. Any day. Remember.
Let me tell you something. It can be taken care of in an hour. We can wipe them off the face of the earth.
No, we cannot. That we cannot do, but someone else can. So watch out. We don't have the power to wipe off a certain people off the face of the earth. We don't have the power to do that, so I do disagree with that. But we do have the power to be aware that it can happen again, is what he needs to know. Right, no one was prepared. There's some things he's saying that's right, but everybody wanted revenge immediately. Like, we're just going to nuke them. Never happened. It hasn't happened yet, but we're dealing with nuclear. We're dealing with things that we don't even completely understand, because there's China in the game, there's North Korea in the game, okay? There's other people in the game, right? So this is proof that we are not invincible, and that we're not law. That we were not law. Only God is law. Here's how it works, okay? You either in law, okay? That's what law leads to. That's what law leads to, because they had their own laws. Or you're in Christ, okay? Christ is agent of peace. He's not the agent of law. That is the agent of law. That's law in action. That's legalism in action, okay? You're in Christ or you're in law. You can turn the badge in and go to Christ. That's an option. You have that option. Or you can keep the badge and go to law. Because law is hell. Right? That's the badge. That's a form of the badge. Right? And that's on your property. That's on your property. Okay? He came to Euless, Texas, and snooped around in a park, and he learned law. He learned law. Okay? That's law. That's not Christ. Right? That's not Christ. That's law. Jesus said to put away your sword. Put away your sword. Put away your badge and join his kingdom. Or you'll go to law. You'll go to law. That's proof. It's not that long ago. It's not that long ago. We try to learn about law. We try to learn about law through this. They're trying to understand law. This is their form of law, okay? Your form of law is the same as their law. That's what Jesus was talking about to all, the Pharisees, the Sadducees. He came back today to be talking to the leaders of your church and pointing at them saying, you're wrong because you follow law. That is law. He would talk to a minister and he would say, minister, you follow the badge and you follow the gun because you allow them in your temple. And he would rebuke them, and he would say, that's your law, that's your badge, that's your lethal sidearm. That is, see how that's in blue right there? That is their law. That's your law. That is everybody's law incarnate, which is hell. Okay? That's what your law is going to that's what your law is going to end in, but it's going to be worse. Let me tell you something. You have an opportunity to put away that badge and put away that gun once and for all. Put it away, or you're going to be dealing with law, real law. Because listen, you can analyze what happened to Koresh, and that was a form of law. You can analyze anything you want to, but you'll realize it goes all the way back to NWA, baby. NWA. Because they were aware of it too. And we'll be aware of it again. So we need to Everybody needs to learn immediately. They need to learn immediately that there is law. Okay? This is a form of law, is all I'm saying. Because if you look, going all back to Red Hook, okay, because New York has been dealing with this. Arthur Miller dealt with this. I'm a playwright. And Arthur Miller has dealt with this. What happened in Red Hook. Marlon Brando tried to deal with it. Okay? Marlon Brando was very philosophical. If you go listen to the old recordings of Marlon Brando, it was like listening to almost like a guru. And he did address law in Los Angeles. There was some brutal police pulling over illegal immigrants and just beating the crap out of them because they didn't follow the law, right? It leads to that. That's what your badge leads to that. And I'm asking only understanding. If you think that I'm wrong, then why did this happen? These people had their own law, which you'll say, first of all, it's the wrong law. Well, let me tell you something. You don't know if yours is the wrong law. Laws are written. Remember, Jesus only wrote in the sand he wrote in the sand to protect the woman of the night because she was against the law. She was against the law of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Koresh didn't really talk. I talk a lot about Mary Magdalene and the order of Mary Magdalene. I've written about it because I'm a playwright. But I have to explain something to you. You do not understand your own law. You do not understand your own badge. You do not understand your own gun. And what did they do to the soldier when they wanted to fight for him? They showed their own law. That's what Jesus probably should have said. And he may have said it. They may have changed the Bible over time because the Bible has been changed. But when he cut the Roman soldier's ear off, they were following a form of law because they felt it was wrong for their Messiah to be taken. So they cut the Roman's ear off. And what did Jesus say? What did Jesus say? Okay, because you're a grammar police too. You're not only, listen, you don't even trick people with your badge and your sidearm, but you trick them with your grammar too. Because the number one thing that you are is a grammar police, right? So when they cut his ear off, this is to Quentin too, because Quentin addressed that in Reservoir Dogs, the ear being cut off. Jesus stopped. Everything stopped. Everything paused. All the universe paused for a moment, and he grabbed that ear and he put it back onto the Roman soldier, to that cop. And he put his ear back on. And he made it a moment. And remember, everything Jesus does, everything Jesus did, everything that he did, every action that he went through, every action that he showed us was symbolic to what I'm talking about now. And when he put that ear back on, that Roman soldier, what did he say? Put away your gun. Put away your badge. And follow me. He said, put away your sword. Those that live by the sword will perish by the sword. Put away your badge and gun. Those that live by the badge and gun will perish by your badge and your gun. Right? That's what Jesus said to you. You have your chance. Continue your law. Right? This mixes in right with Uvalde and everything. Because the man that went in there, or the young man, the teenager that went in there, he went in there with a badge and a gun. It was his form of badge. He may have colored it in his imagination. He may have colored it on a note card at home. We don't know. He probably didn't. But in his head, he had a badge. And he had a gun. The same guns that you brought into the school too to stop him. And you all worked together. And now 19 children perished because of your badge and your gun. And it will continue on. This will continue on. Because of the badge and because of the gun. It's because of law. Law is about the same thing Satan is. Christ is something that you can join into. Because Mary Magdalene could have been stoned to death because of law. It was legal to stone a prostitute to death in the street, to stone her to death. And what do? We leave them on the side of the street to burn under the sun. Your badge and your gun does that. Your badge and your gun is under the law of Satan, or just law. Turn it in. I'm not going to ask you again. Turn it in now. Turn it in your mind, but then go into the office for real and turn it in. I don't care if you're undercover or if you've got it on the side of your police cruiser. Turn it in and back away, because there will be a day soon where you will not get a chance to turn it in. So take heed and remember, I experienced this, okay? I experienced this, and I have to go through this, but I have to tell you something about it. You go through it in a different way because I smelled it, and I took some of it in with me. You did not. There's a real good chance, if you're this far south from it, you feel comfortable? I'm sure you feel comfortable. But let me explain something. I'm not going to say it again. Turn in your badge and turn in your gun. Do it tonight. Just leave it there at the station. Just leave it there at the station in pure rebellious protest and join Jesus Christ. Or face your law, because your law is going to lose. Listen, and if you don't think money has to do with this whole thing with 9/11 and what happened with David Koresh, it's linked to almost everything. And the one thing that Jesus did, especially to the rich, was he held up the baby. I remember I used to go into church. I went to probably the richest church in Texas, which was probably MacArthur Boulevard in Irving is probably one of the richest churches in Texas, if not the richest. Oldstein probably, because they have money tied up in other places. They've got a lot of money going through that church, a lot. They're very, very, very powerful people. One thing I loved to do was bring in my babies and hold them up, because I knew that not all the money in the world could buy that baby. It never will. Now, here's the thing about the money. Money is law. It's called legal tender. It's a representation of the law that's going to choke you to death. Okay? Just like you choked George Floyd. Your badge is money. Your gun is money. And the problem is, you live by that money. And what Jesus was saying was that if you live by the money, you'll die by the money. You live by the gun and you'll die by the gun. It's about the same thing. He was saying you live by that law and you'll die by that law. You'll die by your badge and your gun. And what's sad about what happened just recently, back in January 6th, some of those cops actually did inflict a gunshot wound to themselves to prove a point. And whether they martyred themselves, I don't think you can really do. It was so crazy because law was put into a different perspective. Because you had your own brother spitting on you, saying, "Get out of the way. You're enforcing something that's wrong," right? Well, law enforcement is gun enforcement. Law enforcement is badge enforcement. And law enforcement is not Jesus enforcement. Okay? And any pastor that says that is ruled by Satan, which many of them are. There's only one type of enforcement, and it's called revelations. When Jesus comes back, he'll take your badge and he'll take your gun. And he'll turn you into wine. He'll turn you into wine. It says so in the Bible many times. You'll become wine. And once the evil ones, the witches that will ride on the dragon and drink the blood of the saints, they'll become that very blood they once drank. Because you're wrapped up in a lot of evil if you've got a badge and a gun. And I implore you, for your own safety, because there's something far more dangerous than what you're dealing with. Turn it in today and follow me, and I'll introduce you to to Jesus Christ, who is not of the badge and not of the gun, but he's the Prince of Peace. And he rules and commands you to do that.